Hey guys, Scott here, and today we're going to talk about the Bloodlust Experiment. I'm looking to make sure I hit record this time. Totally didn't record this whole video without recording it. Definitely recording. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Bloodlust Experiment. And basically what's happening is they are turning off Bloodlust for 3 days to see what that actually does. I think this is cool for a number of reasons. The main one being that they are experimenting with stuff. And I think this is something that they should do further down the line as well. Like, one day turn off Unbreakable, one day turn off Noed, one day turn off Keys and Mori's. Just random stuff like that, little modifiers to see how it affects the games. I'm willing to bet that you will see a lot of very interesting things if you turn off like Mori's for a day. Suddenly, certain ranks of killers will not do nearly as well or something like that. Like, I think it would be very interesting to keep doing experiments like this. Nothing big, just like minor little things, just to see how that affects the data. And I think they'll get a lot of very useful game information by doing these things. They will learn that Keys and Mori's are kind of stupid and things like that. So, as far as the experiments go, very cool. I hope they keep doing it. But let's talk about actual Bloodlust itself. Bloodlust is the mechanic that basically, if you're in a chase every 15 seconds, I think, as long as you're not using any offensive power and you're not stunned by a pallet or you kick a pallet, you will gain up to 3 stacks of Bloodlust that each increase your movement speed, but I think 4% now. I know they nerfed it. It used to be 5. I think now it's 4. Either way, you get a movement speed bonus for each stack, and it goes up to Bloodlust 3. And I think the reason they want to remove this is the original reason Bloodlust existed was it was a band-aid for bad map design. So sometimes you just simply could not catch up to somebody without a little bit of help. An example is kind of like old Larry's. Sometimes you would have so many windows stacked up to each other with no pallets to kick, so your only option was to just like run around or vault the window. And even me, I consider myself pretty decent at the game, but I would still get like Bloodlust 2 just because of how stupid Larry's is, and you can't not get it. And in those scenarios, I think it's actually okay. But a lot of those scenarios are gone now. I would say most of them are gone now, to the point where Bloodlust is a bit of an archaic mechanic, I think. Pretty much if I ever get Bloodlust 2 or 3 nowadays, it's not because the map is stupid, it's because I've just screwed up massively. There's a couple of times, like the Ironworks window, where I have to vault around it and I might get up to Bloodlust 2. But that's because I'm stubborn and like don't want to kick the wall or something like that. So there are very few things that require that left in the game. So the reason for the band-aid is not there anymore. The wound is sort of healed, to use a stupid metaphor. So I think Bloodlust is not really that needed anymore. However, I would say that here's what I would do with Bloodlust. I would delete Bloodlust 2 and 3. Just those are gone from the game, because the reason survivors want that gone is because they're never really used the way the devs intended. Like, the intention is they have such a strong loop that you can't possibly catch up without a speed burst, but that's not what people do. What happens is you're on Autohaven and you're at one of those car loops or whatever, and someone drops a pallet, and then the killer just runs around it until they're going Mach speeds to the point where the survivor cannot possibly mind game the killer anymore because they're getting around the loop in 3 seconds. So those are the scenarios where survivors want Bloodlust gone, because that is stupid. It's not cheating. It's just you're basically just grinding your head against the wall until the game holds you up enough to be able to get a hit there. That is stupid. It rewards bad play and should be deleted. So I think Bloodlust 2 and 3 don't really have a place in the game anymore. They're never really needed ever, as long as you're playing well. However, I think entirely removing Bloodlust is not good. I think it should basically work so after 15 seconds or whatever in a chase, without using a power, getting stunned by a pallet, or kicking a pallet, you should just gain the status effect Bloodlust. It's just 1 stack of it, so it's just the first stack. Because sometimes I think it's a little necessary if you get, Cowshed, where you get the shack into one of those tractor loops, into a long wall, into a tractor loop. You can get the dumbest shit ever. Sometimes you need a little bit of help. And I think a fair compromise would be just allowing Bloodlust 1 to stay in the game probably forever. Because it's not so big of a deal that you can cheese somebody around an unsafe loop, but it does help when the map is basically just destroying you by being unlucky. So I think keeping Bloodlust 1 in is a decent idea, and removing 2 and 3 is a good idea. So those are my opinions on Bloodlust. I've had the same opinions on Bloodlust for years now, so that hasn't really changed, but it's good to see that they're actually kind of addressing it now. So I think survivors will be very happy with this. Good killers will not be affected by this whatsoever. This will upset a lot of bad or inexperienced killers that rely on Bloodlust 2 and 3 to get, basically, they're cheap hits. I don't know how to say that without like trying to sound smug or something like that. But if you get Bloodlust 3, you have screwed up. It's your fault. That's just unless there's some magical thing I don't know about. In 3 years, I don't think I've gotten Bloodlust 3 once, except when I was trying to with Bubba for a meme with like a build with play with your food and stuff like that. So, yeah, Bloodlust is kind of outdated, but keep Bloodlust 1 in. I think that's my opinions on that. Overall, though, I think this whole experiment thing is cool. Like I said, I think them going forward, wanting to do more and more with this is a very good sign that they're going to have more accurate changes and perhaps more frequent changes, which is something we've been wanting for a really long time. So overall, cool stuff. I'm actually excited to see how this goes. I think for the most part, people will realize they don't really need Bloodlust that much anymore. And I think this will go just fine. But it's interesting to see, and I'm looking forward to more of these kinds of experiments. So that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.